In this module, we will cover the history and evolution of performance management system. So, how did this concept of performance management came up? The answer is, the premise of performance management came into existence back in 20th century when the time and motion study was developed by Frederick W. Taylor and Gilbert's couple, that is Frank Gilbert and Lillian Gilbert. The time and motion study is an analysis of time spent in going through different motions of a job or series of a job. The objective of time and motion study are to improve organizational efficiency, to eliminate unnecessary motions, fatigues, and seek to improve human efforts in doing a job, to bring about improvement in methods, procedures, techniques, and processes related to a job. The time study is the work of Frederick Taylor, an American mechanical engineer known for the methods to improve industrial efficiency. He is also considered as originator of scientific management. Back in 1908, Frederick Taylor applied his scientific management principles to find out how the work potentials of individuals affect their productivity. Through this time study, he broke each job into smaller tasks and timed each part. He then continuously observed the time taken to accomplish the task, and by using a timekeeping device, he recorded the actual time taken to accomplish a task. Based on the observation and the study, he then proposed rearranging the parts into most efficient methods of working. Motion study is a work of Frank Gilbert and his wife Lillian Gilbert. In contrast to and as motivated by Taylor's time study methods, Gilbert's proposed a technical language allowing for the analysis of labor processes in a scientific context. The study is applied to the work habits of industrial employees to increase their efficiency and hence their output. This method helped Gilbert to build workflow and to create standard best practices. Time and motion study were first instituted in offices and factories in the United States in early 20th century. These studies came to be adopted on a wide scale as a means of improving the methods of work by subdividing the different operations of a job into measurable elements. Proper implementation of time motion study allows us to improve processes and optimization of performance. Better work methods boost efficiency and decreases fatigue in the workers. This is how PMS has progressed historically over the century. The journey started in 1908 when Taylor applied his scientific management principles in the industry to improve work efficiency. These principles were then adopted by Henry Ford between 1908 to 1913 in his car production industry. In 1914, the appraisal process was introduced by Taylor. In 1920, Taylor's scientific principles were adopted by USSR. In 1930, W.D. Scott's man-to-man rating scale was widely adopted. W.D. Scott was a psychologist, but he had an interest in experimenting methods of psychology to business problems. Scott's study of psychology of business was the first comprehensive treatment of human behavior in the work situation in the United States. He early identified selection as essential for improvement of motivation and productivity, and his later work on selection was in the context, which means that back in 1930, it was identified that selection is an important part for doing a job properly. which we also refer to as person job fit in nowadays terms. His tests were developed through criteria that the businessmen could understand success on a job. His ability to convince businessmen for his test could help them in the selection problems with a contribution in itself because it served to enhance the stature of psychology in their minds. His man-to-man rating scale, which in today's time we know as ranking system or rating scale, was unique, and his concept for guiding judgment in merits ratings are basic tools for business practice today. In 1950, W.D. Scott's appraisal method was adopted widely. In 1960, systems of doing performance appraisal basis the employee's record for that year was evolved, which means they started maintaining the data of employees' performance like we do in today's time. In 1970, employees were communicated with negative remarks to improve their performance further. In 1980, 360-degree performance feedback system was introduced, but it was not accepted by many organizations as it consumes a lot of their budget. In 2000, performance appraisal process became more development driven. Today, performance appraisal is more of continuous process and is more focused on individuals' development, including their behavioral aspects of the individuals, as well as individuals' alignment to the business's core value. It is no more limited to the individuals or business targets achievement only. In 2030, going forward, we see performance appraisal to be AI-driven, where we assume that AI to transform the performance appraisal further, where reviews will shift from quantity to quality, meaning from number focus to more of individual development focus. Now, this is how we can see the relevance of PMS in today's time. We see that both these studies have helped improving organizational efficiency. Time study by redefining jobs and processes to bring in more efficiency and reducing the labor fatigue, as well as time consumption, and motion study by reducing workflows and creating standardized best practices. Establishing the employee productivity standards. Allow organization to improve processes and optimization of performance. Both of these we have just learned in the motion study. Better working methods boost efficiency and decrease fatigue in workers. Enhances resource planning and allocation. And while doing these studies, even incentive schemes were devised at that time to increase the employee efficiency and to motivate the employee. So now through this or above, we can see how the time and motion study relates to PMS in today's time. That is it in this module. We will see you in the next module soon.